But when you go to meetups, I mean, I am horrible with names, but you know what? When I meet somebody face to face and we talk a little bit, it's different. Because I may not remember the name, but I'll be, oh, that guy does this and that and this other thing, and I'll remember those kind of things.
Yeah. Good.
But I think those new little pocket recorders, I think that's going to be a thing in my future.
Well, you got to get the glasses to go along with it too. So you walk up to someone, and it'll tell you the name right there. There you go. Any other thoughts?
I like to see that I'm not the only one that's been in it for a long time and still learning. I do not know the paper side of this game. I know how to build anything and do anything, but I do not know the back side of things. So that's what I'm here to learn, and it's nice to see that I'm not the only one.
There's so much to the industry, right? It's like you can specialize in something, and it's a drop in the bucket compared to everything else that's going on. Yeah.
Meetings make you money. You got to go meet people, take action. There's transactions in action. You never know who's going to be your next person that you're going to help or will help you. And I got a check with my name on it and about did a backflip because I went to a meeting. So I go to meetings. You never know. And it's not always what you can take, but what you can give. So keep coming to meetings, meet people. You never know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Just for reference too, 3 months ago I went to a real estate meetup in Norfolk. When I went there was 3 guys there. I don't know who the heck they were. I've since done business with all those 3 guys. We've all closed deals together, made money for both them and myself. So it does pay to go out and meet new people.
Like this.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you see people, you don't get to run across the room and meet them. So thank you for this type of interaction. I lost count, and there's still people I haven't met.
Yeah, good.
That
was my hope.
caffeine, so that's what I'm talking about.
Tony will be here till 11 if anybody wants to stay and talk to Tony tonight. Good. All great comments. Really appreciate you participating and trusting me to step into that. So let me tell you a bit about our story, and then I'll stop, and then I'll jump into some of the properties that we have. So we moved here from LA, like I said, like in 2019. I was part of a large merger. I worked for a health system that had 40 hospitals, moved out, and we merged with CHI. 100 hospitals with 150,000 employees, right? And I do this type of work where I go and develop leaders, do coaching, that type of work. I had a friend who had a small consulting firm in Lincoln and wanted me to come work for him. I said, great, I'll try that out. I think I'll do all right with it. So I went and I started working for them, and it was a family-run business, really challenging. Didn't let me kind of do the work that I loved doing. All right, full disclosure. They caught me interviewing for other companies, and so they fired me on the spot with no severance, no nothing, no benefits. So I went home to my wife and 6 kids and said, I don't have a job, and we don't have any safety net. We had some friends that lived down the street who we knew had done some real estate investing. And we've always wanted to be in real estate and thought about it, but have never taken the leap. We had a decent paying job, golden handcuffs that said, hey, you got your benefits, you just keep working, climbing that ladder, everything's going to be all right, until it wasn't. So we went and talked to those friends. My wife had the idea to go talk to this neighbor, and she'd been doing investing and pull us into a group. And so we paid money, joined an investment group and mastermind, learned a lot very quickly. We were all in, and really enjoyed being in that group and that community. It came to be about 6 months. We had gotten a couple of deals that we were working on but hadn't gotten paid on yet. We were trying to get them closed, but didn't have money coming in. And it started to get to the point like, okay, money's starting to run out a bit. I need to start looking for work again because real estate's not moving as quickly as we would like it to. All these promises, but we just weren't making enough money to cover it. So I was starting to look for work again, and we went to this investor group, this community, said, hey, listen, we're close to closing this deal, and then we'll have some cash in, and then we can kind of re-up for the next month. They said, well, what about your credit card? Can you use your credit card? So, well, we could, but we're already in the hole, and money's not coming in. And so we just kind of went back and forth, and these were people that we had trusted, good people, I think. But at that 6 months, it was all about the money. It was like, hey, if you can't pay another $1,000 or $1,500 a month without any additional value that we were getting, then you can't be part of our group anymore. We said, well, can we put it on pause and then come back? Like, no, you can't do that. So for us, we felt, we came into a community and it feels like all about the money right now. So we actually left that group, but at that time we had our deals that started to come through, and I'll tell you about a few of them. We have 5 deals. One of those is a fix and flip that we had in Colorado. It was a great property, and I will tell you right now, full disclosure, I am horrible with numbers. My kids have to remind me what my wife's phone number is. I can remember it sometimes, but she remembers all of their social security numbers, all of our credit card numbers, and our bank account numbers. But she doesn't remember it when she's under stress, so please don't kidnap her. She won't remember what they are. But she remembers all the numbers from anywhere we've lived, right? And all the information. I don't. And so I might call on her to talk to some numbers. But this property, so we were doing, the way we started doing deals was through PPC marketing, right? So we would advertise on Google. We set up a website. People who were in certain areas would say, hey, I need to sell my house. We'd get a text message, and that would be our warm lead. We'd go in and make that call. Really effective when you have those leads coming in, but it costs quite a bit of money. So we had our first deal was in Kentucky, I'll talk about. Our second one was in Portsmouth, Virginia. I'll talk about that one as well. Our third one was this one in Colorado. Was that our third one? Yeah, Colorado. It was a gentleman who, he was a contractor, had a small house on 5 acres of land by the river, had water rights, and he just wanted to leave the house and go live with his family in Grand Junction, I believe. And he had his second mortgage was going into foreclosure. So we took a look at it, made an agreement. We used hard money lending to buy that one, and then we worked really hard to find a good realtor and to find good contractors at the price we needed. Do you remember what we bought that one for, Cheyenne? $266. See, numbers. $266. We found a great contractor. Do you mind just talking through all the numbers? I won't keep pointing to you. What are the numbers for that Colorado property?
$266 was what we paid. We ended up actually, instead of doing it sub two, we paid off the mortgage because we also had to pay off that HELOC. That was the second mortgage that was going in foreclosure. So $266, and that included $10,000 that was to the seller. Once we sold it, we agreed that once we sold it to our end buyer, if we got some remodel done, that we would give him an extra $10,000. So we did that. We ended up selling it for $460. But we had about $70,000 worth of remodel, and then we had to pay our realtor. So we took about $76,000 home on that one.
Yep. We thought it was going to be a lot more. We thought, well, this is a slam dunk, great deal. And towards the end, we found out that although they said the septic was good, the broker on the buyer's end threw us under the bus a bit. That was a bit challenging, and we ended up having to do a lot of septic work. So it was a great learning experience. I'm doing a rehab, doing a fix and flip, but we learned a lot of lessons from it. My brother's a roofing contractor based out of Wyoming. That's where I grew up. And he does residential but also commercial. And he said, when you're running a business, it's kind of like you're sitting in the back of the bus with your stack of cash there, and the window's open and it's just flying out the window. And you're trying to hold on to as much cash as you can, and then you don't really know how much money you have until it's in the bank. So there's a great payout for that. But it was a ton of work and a ton of stress, especially managing that fix and flip remotely. So what I want to, what's that?
How long was that process?
About 4 months. Yeah, so moved pretty quick. And to be honest, we stumbled onto a phenomenal realtor, and she stayed on top of our contractors. Like she would go out there. It was a small town. It's Kremling, Colorado, so it's not too far from like Steamboat, about an hour from Steamboat Springs, kind of a beautiful area, but yeah, really nice. I would have liked to hold the property by myself, but I've also found when you're investing, it's best not to hold it by yourself. Best to get money from it. Yeah.
So if you did it in a different location than where you were from, how did you go about finding your contractors, and how long before you decided to make the deal? Like, did you find them, or did you make the deal before and then find them, or did you have the realtor help you out? Like, what was that process?
We made the deal, and then we started looking for people.
Stressful?
Yeah. You see these gray hairs? I did not have those when we started this whole process. We did the deal first, and then we really trusted the group that we were working with, and they gave us good advice. But it's kind of they gave us good advice, but once you get started in that process, we're like, oh, this is a little bit scary. And so we trusted the process, and we got to work figuring it out, started to meet different people, ask questions. So how we found the contractors, we looked on Facebook, we looked up reviews for different contractors in the area, asked for referrals from realtors. With realtors, I looked up all the realtors who had sold similar properties in the area, who'd sold them recently, and then I just started making text messages and calls to see who would call me back, and I started tracking to see who the best responses were and who had a proven track record. And then as we talked to them, is this the right one for us or not? And we found the one that worked for us.
So you would say that was your primary tool for on-site management? Because I feel like that's like a big thing. That's, you said you can't stay on top of them if you're 1,000, 500 miles away.
Yep.
So you were using like your realtor as like a liaison to make sure that all of that work was getting done.
Yeah, and we put some checks and balances in place, right? So we didn't pay them, we didn't give them money until we saw proof of work. And then she was also able to go in and check and make sure things were happening. Yeah.
You never had to go to the actual property?
I have never been to Kremlin, Colorado. But I made money in Kremlin, Colorado, so okay by me.
So did you video?
Video, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and before we did the deal, they sent us pictures, and so we did a lot of due diligence. We had an inspection done, which the inspection missed some things that also cash flying out the window. But yeah, we would do FaceTime with them and have them walk around and show us, and we could ask questions, and the realtor was there to back us up as well. Yeah. But we learned a lot from it. It was a great experience. But one of the things that we learned, because we'd also done a couple other projects by this time, so we learned this little part here that I really want to spend time talking about tonight. So that would be a rehab. Rehab's lots of work and risk, takes more capital and time, and it's really good for retail, right? So that's where you find a property that needs a lot of work or some work. You go in, you do the work, then you sell it for full price on MLS. Right? I want to talk about no-habs, because that's what we've actually spent more of our time in, and I'll tell you about our Kentucky deal in a few minutes. But so with a no-hab, you might change the locks, maybe mow the lawn. Good for owner financing. That's one of our favorite things is owner financing. And then we often need a long-term lender or a private lender or take it sub 2. So we love these simply because we have a lot of friends who are in real estate as investors, and one of the challenges they talk to us about is getting that phone call in the middle of the night, or they've got money that they've saved up throughout the year, and then one bad tenant blows all of that money that they've had, right? So we actually, how many people, I know that a few people, you do seller finance, right? Is that right? Or anybody else done any type of owner finance or seller finance? I love it. You can do whatever you want, but I love it because we don't get those calls and we essentially become the bank. Does everybody know what that is? So let me actually jump ahead and let me talk about our Kentucky deal. Oh, all right, I'll hold on. These are really good pictures. I don't want to skip them. We'll come back to the Kentucky deal. So we'll talk about what owner finance is and why we like doing it. But what's your dream job? My dream job is I don't work. In fact, for our anniversary, we went to Italy, and my wife will laugh at me because on my Facebook feed, it pops up and it's all Italian properties. I want to move back to Italy, sit there on the coast and eat some gelato and make money while I'm not there to watch it. Okay? All right, so rule number one, always buy right. Whatever, if you're doing this type of real estate or any real estate, the number one rule is always buy right. So when we're doing these no-habs, we're going to fix anything major. So we'll fix the roof if we need to, or do a patch, or kind of look at the roof, HVAC, water heater, septic, major plumbing problems, major electric problems, and optional cosmetic problems. Like if there's a hole in the ceiling or something that might keep it from selling, we might look at fixing that. The rule for this, though, is don't ever buy a house that needs any more than 2 of these things on the list. That one in Colorado needs more than 2 of those things on the list. So we learned a few things. So here's some examples, right? So if you're looking for a house, these are probably not good ones to buy. Oh, from the conversation, what was one of the craziest things that you guys saw that you've seen in a house?
Not that. Harley Davidson in the living room.
Harley Davidson in the living room. Did it come with a house?
No, it was a tenant of mine who, her boyfriend worked on Harleys. And I went over there to collect rent because she was older and had some disabilities. there's a Harley Davidson in the living room. And he looked at me like, you got a problem?
Yeah, it's
It was
workspace.
in Council Bluffs, by the way. If that matters.
Hey, here's another couple examples here. Got this nice one with the concrete. Just pour the concrete, the door out there. Some nice electrical work over here. And then my favorite one. Probably not a good property to buy. So here's one of the houses that we bought. Actually, we didn't actually end up buying this one. This was going to be a great deal. It was in Missouri, or Mississippi. Which one was it? Yazoo. And great property. My wife negotiated a phenomenal deal on it. We got it down to about $8,000. The guy just wanted to get out. He had a new marriage, didn't want to fix up the house. And we were a week away from closing, and we found out that it was actually already in foreclosure, and he didn't know it and didn't tell us about it. And then we tried to look for the documentation and see if we could help with that. He just stopped communicating. It's like, oh, so close. It was a small town as well, but would have been a great property for us. But here's the one in Colorado. You can see that there's some stuff there. So there's some cosmetic stuff that needed to be fixed. There's some work that just needed to be done that he hadn't finished. Outside there was some siding and things missing. So not too bad until you got to the septic, which hard to see under there.
Why would you buy something in a small town?
What's that?
Why would you buy something in a small town?
It was a phenomenal deal.
52%. What does a deal mean if it doesn't have enough people to rent it? You said small town,
Yeah.
so I think of people.
Yeah, so when we often sell seller finance. This one was a small town, but it's really close to the mountains, and it's when you look at this home, there are a little bit larger homes that were bigger properties on nice land, a little bit more luxury. That were selling for over $1 million, and so the market when we look at the market, a lot of homes were selling pretty quickly, and so we knew that this one we hoped that it would sell quickly, and it did pretty well in about 4 months. But
So therefore, don't run from small towns.
Don't be afraid of small towns.
yeah, don't be afraid of small towns, but know how you're going to buy it and sell it in a small town. Another story, I don't know if we have the numbers up here, but we also bought a house in a small town in Poto, Oklahoma. I think that was maybe our third or fourth deal. This one was a reverse mortgage, and so we actually used hard money lending for that one as well. More gray hairs. I don't know if we'll do hard money lending too many more times. I think we have started to build our investor pool, so hopefully we won't be able to do that, or won't need to do that. But that one, we bought the biggest house in town, and the biggest and nicest house on the block, and that one is giving us a bit of a headache. We finally got someone in it, but was that about 6 or 7 months? 6 or 7 months. Finally have someone in it, and they're currently, we kind of switched it over to, we refinanced it, have someone in there that's doing a lease option, and so they're going to move to owner financing hopefully within the next couple of months. But that one was stressful. And that small town, I might not buy in that. We would have looked closer at the market, but the deal was so good. We said, oh, we can do it. We can make it work. We would probably choose to do something different on that one. Yeah.
It sounds like initially you started like out of market, like not with your own town. So why did you start that route, and like what was the thing that gave you the confidence to be like, okay, like I'm gonna buy something that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that I can't see, that I can't touch, as opposed to something that was like closer to you?
Well, we are either really dumb or really trusting. We were very trusting, and so when we jumped in, the way in which they actually taught us to this first group, right? So they said PPC marketing is the way to go. If you don't have money to do PPC marketing, great, you can do sweat marketing. So go out and put out bandit signs, go knock doors, all those different things. And so we tested out PPC. We had a little bit of savings, and so we tested out PPC. And we blanketed across the southern United States. It's good if you can spread it out like that, because you get, I think, cost per click was anywhere from $30 to $100, and so we could get a deal for a couple $100. I mean, look at the math. When you focus on one market, then those leads start costing a lot more money, and it's harder to get those when you use that type of PPC marketing. And you've seen that. So when you click on a Google, or when you do a Google search and they pop up like the sponsor ads, those are all the PPC ads.
What does PPC stand for?
pay-per-click. So anytime our name would pop up on something and someone clicked on it, we would get charged for it. And so hopefully you just get to where you can actually take some of those the clicks and you convert that over to a sale. Yeah, good questions. Any other questions? So that one in Poto, beautiful home. We're hopefully in a good place with it now. This is wood, right? Yeah, it is. Good. Whew. Good. But it's been a challenge. So that small town we probably wouldn't do again, or if we did, we'd find a different property instead of the biggest house and nicest house in town. So this is the Colorado one. Let's see. So Kentucky. Let me jump now to Kentucky. This was the first one that we did. It was a military person. He'd been in Poland. He had come back, was newly married. He had a brother who was supposed to be taking care of the house, and he didn't take care of the house. So the house was on an acre in Kentucky, close to a military base. Needed a lot of work done on it. We had an inspection done, and when the inspection came in, we're like, oh, there's a lot more work that needs to be done. And so we negotiated with this seller. He lived in Wisconsin. He couldn't come back and do all the work, but he had started doing some of the work. So we went in, and the siding needed to be washed down. There's a couple of holes in the ceiling, a couple of leaks. There was a nice pool in the backyard, but I think it had more frogs than water. So we drained that out. I saw a beaver come through the backyard once, a really nice kind of piece of property. But we negotiated down, and we bought this property for $138, and we took this one sub-2. So we took over the mortgage. It had about a 3% interest rate, and so we're responsible to pay that mortgage. And this is one where we kind of switched from this rehab to the no-hab piece. I went there and said, I'm pretty handy. I can do some drywall. I can do some work. And our investor friends from this group, they were still helping us out. And I went and did some work on it. And while I was doing the work, I was there for I think a weekend, 3-4 days. And I was cleaning stuff out, scrubbing it down. It really needed some tidying up. It had good bones, needed some foundational work. And all in all, it would have been about $70,000 for us to get it rehabbed so we could sell it full value. ARV, I think, was around $320,000 to $340,000. If we had it fully fixed up, we bought it $138,000. And that $138,000, $20,000 went to the seller then, and then about $10,000 also went to. We paid that off over 5 months or so, about 10 months actually. So we gave them some now, some later, but the actual mortgage on the home was about $108,000. So $108,000. If we did the full remodel on it, $320,000 to $340,000 is what we were hoping for. But as we started to get into the work, we're like, man, this is a lot of work. I went to go do some work on it, and in the cleaning process, I was like, this is too much. I gotta get some other stuff done, and I'm supposed to go home tomorrow. I'm just gonna call a couple cleaning crews, and we're just gonna bite the bullet and pay the money. So I called up a couple cleaning crews, and she said, well, with the way the house sounds, it's gonna take 4 of my people. We're gonna be there all day, probably, maybe a day and a half. It's gonna cost you about $250, like $250. Like, yep, done. And I am done cleaning stuff up by myself, right? For $250, that was less than the plane ticket, less than the rental car, less than anything else I was buying to try and do the repairs. So we found a couple of people to do a little bit of repair on it, but then we started marketing. We found a good realtor. We're new in the business, and she was a great realtor, pushing along for us, but nobody wanted to buy it. Investors, most of the people that were coming were investors, and they saw all the work that needed to be done as well, and they were concerned about the margins on it. We ended up selling it to someone. We found a lady who, she's a nurse at the military hospital. She came with $40,000 down. So she gave us $40,000 down. We ended up selling it, I think, for $190,000. So $40,000 down, sold it to her for $190,000 at an 8% interest rate. So she's making payments to us every month. She was excited because she got the house. She could actually go in and do the repairs herself. For her, that house is going to be worth about $320,000 or more when she's done with those repairs. So she got a smoking deal on it. It was our first deal that we were nervous about, so we got paid out on it. The $40,000 plus we get about $1,200 a month from that interest rate. So we're now the bank, right? So they pay us, she pays us, we pay the underlying mortgage, and the spread on that is about $1,200. And then when she actually refinances out in the next 3 to 4 years, then we actually get the payout of that note. So we get paid 3 times on that property, which is great. Any questions on that one? Yeah, please, keep them coming. No, ask away. I get really bored listening to myself, so please.
I'm just wondering, so like, what happens if, you know, she decides that she doesn't want to pay? Like, what are your protections against that? Like, you know, she leaves her job or something, like, you know, because does that ultimately fall on you, or is there like some type of insurance that you get if that, you know?
No, it falls on us. So we continue to pay that underlying mortgage, and if that were the case, we would like a bank, we'd foreclose on her, or we would ask her if she wanted to deed it back to us, and then we would put it back on the market and sell it again. Yeah, good question. We hope that doesn't happen, and we almost sold it to a guy, really hardworking, really liked him, good guy, but he came with $10,000, and he said, well, hold on, I need to go borrow this. I need to go borrow a little bit more. I'm like, I don't know about this, and so we actually said, no, we can't do that, which I'm glad we did. She came along, and I think if she has 40 grand in the skin in the game, we feel pretty confident she's going to continue to do that, and continue to pay us. Yeah.
Maybe you'll get to this, so you can just cut me off. So, but do you just jump on the deed of trust, or do you put it in a trust, or how? To piggyback on his question about your protection, I get that you can foreclose on
Yep.
it, but how do you go about that? Because I've heard like putting it in a trust is like the gold standard, but that's a lot of work. You know, how do you guys?
We just took over the deed, right? And so we have the deed of trust. We've heard about putting things in trust, and who was it from? I'm sure you worked with them in Norfolk.
Yeah, Zolke does it.
Yeah.
Darren Zolke.
Yep, Darren Zolke, and then out in Lincoln, Tucker, right? And so we've heard about that, and we're learning more about it. We want to learn, great, how do you do that, and what do we do to do that? But we're not there yet.
So as of right now, the deed of trust to the property has you and the buyer.
We actually, when we sold it, it's now just the buyer.
Okay. So
Yep. Yep. And so we essentially just become the bank for it, which is great. She's taking care of it.
Subject to, like, how do you, like, if you find a good property,
Yep.
how would you sell it to them? How would you get that?
So sell the owner finance piece.
Yeah, if they don't know anything about subject to,
Yeah.
they just think I'm just gonna sell it traditionally. How do you sell subject to them? Like,
Yeah.
they still, do they
Yeah.
still keep the note, or is the note in your name now? The note's in your name, what about the loan and all that?
So you mean the original mortgage, the underlying mortgage?
Yeah, like, how do you sell them on the subject to? Like, how do you describe it to them?
Well, they want a smoking good deal on a house. So we talk to them about the house. We find out what they really like about it. And we say, well, here's the situation. We've got this underlying mortgage. And it's actually, I think it's harder to get someone to sell us their home subject to versus selling the home subject, knowing that there's an underlying mortgage. To the buyer, she knows that there's that underlying mortgage, but to her, it's just, hey, I'm buying this home and you're my bank. As far as getting the property, we took more time describing how that worked and setting the seller's mind at ease that we were going to make those payments and that we were going to take care of that and it wasn't going to come back and hit them.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. How do you sell them on you making the payments and it not going back?
Have you seen a smile? And it was all over the phone. Well, we did a couple of FaceTimes, but for the most time it was all over the phone. But we answer their questions. We kind of talk them through it. We have some verbiage we use, and part of it is like, so when they start asking about risk, yeah, there is some risk. We've never had to do this before, but if, let's say, the market goes south and everything falls apart and we can't make that payment, that home goes back to you, and we'll deed it back over to you, and you can then resell it. But we really just answer questions, set their minds at ease, and build that trust with them over a lot of conversations and answering those questions so that they trust us to then buy it from them subject to. And then it's really good communication. We do plenty of paperwork so they feel protected by it, and they are protected by it. At the same time, in all the communication and when we owed them payments, we were on time with all those. We made sure it all went through, and they built really strong trust with us.
There's also tons of videos online, especially with Face's content, that you can just watch and hear him talk about it. And that's why I started doing it. Whenever I was driving, I would just listen to his calls. And then you just learn how to handle objections that sellers may have, and then you can create it, and then you kind of make it your own, and then you get more natural at it.
Yeah, and I would say before us, so we had some good people that helped us out, but now joining Subto. So let me tell you why I joined Subto. So I originally saw some Pace Morby stuff years ago and thought, this guy's full of just marketing. He's just a bunch of fluff. And then Josh got up at the ARIA event that I was at and said that Pace was coming to town. I was like, oh, might as well go and take a look at it. It's for free. And he came and he spoke, and I remember just listening to him and hearing what he was talking about and how he and telling his story and how he communicated with people and how he taught. Like, I think this guy might be for real. So I jumped on a webinar that he had and listened for the first 2.5 hours, but then I had to put on record, so I go spend time with family and let it run for the other 2.5 hours. Went back and watched it. It was a long one, but heard his story, heard how he's building a community versus, hey, I need your money and you're here for 6 months and then you got to re-up or anything. So saw how he's building a community, and it was much more about that community. And went to my wife and said, hey, I know we did this deal a year ago, and we also have a mentor that she works with that's been doing this business for 30 years and has kind of taken her under his wing. So he also has great knowledge and information. But Pace's stuff, and it is thousands of hours of content and good content that talk through how do you have those conversations, how do you build the trust, how do you handle those types of things. It's really great content. And so I'm in that learning process and kind of now taking on that Subto piece. I've been there for a couple of months and looking to do my first Subto deal. Yeah.
Kind of like what he just said, but that was the reason why I joined the community also, because I was very skeptical at first. I thought it was another person who just wanted your money, because you kind of watch the videos to the end and it's like, just how much is it? Spit that out so I know if I'm going to hang up this phone or if I'm going to, stay for the free gift, because they're going to give you something free at the end, which is a little bit more knowledge also. And after watching it for so long, and then somebody came on and they had a friend who was trying to sell a house, and he was like, well, what's her number? Don't give it out over the live, but email it to me and we'll call. So he called that person on the webinar, and he was going back and forth with her. And of course, she didn't know how to, it was like a $1.2 million house that she was trying to sell, that she was going through a divorce, and she had to get out of the house. And on that call, she was like, well, Pace was telling her that he would get somebody into the house to rent it out. And she's like, but it's still under me. So how does that help me? And, it was just like a lot of back and forth, but he was like, again, you don't have to rush into it right now. Take some time to think about it. I'll still be here. I'm still willing to get it, but I don't need your house for me. This is to better help you. And she was like, but it's still in my name. So what happens if it's still in my name and they don't make the payments? He's like, yes, you have your pros and cons, but it's best for it to stay under your name because it still helps build your credit up versus getting it out of your name and then you want to buy a house in a couple of years, but you can't. So it was just like, I got to hear him do that and work with him. I said, he might be the real deal. Okay, I trust it. I'm going to go ahead and pay for it.
Yeah,
so
good
then
for you.
I did it, and then, so mine is very new. I just signed up last Thursday.
Hey, congratulations.
So my thing was, thank you. I need to get in the community immediately. So that's why I found my Omaha group, and I'm like, we got one? These people are real? So when I first pulled up, I thought it started at 7 o'clock.
Oh.
And I was already praying to God. I'm like, Lord, I need to be on time to everything. So when I pulled up, I said, oh, this is a scam. No one's here. So I looked for the information that I had to come to this, and I'm like, it don't start to 7:30. I'm way too early because it's like 6:45. I'm 15 minutes early to 7 o'clock. No, I was 45 minutes early. And then when I see cars start pulling up, I said, this is people. They're going in that building. Well, I'm going to walk in. So then it just made me feel like, okay, it's the real deal.
I'm glad you did. Welcome.
Good job showing up, too.
Yeah.
I talked to a lot of people that joined, even in Lincoln and Omaha, and I've still never seen them. And it's been like months. So you showed up right away, and that's
I had to.
If you don't carry the momentum, then that's what these other people they just.
Because watching the videos already motivates you, but then it's like they're in Arizona, they're in Wyoming. I want to be around some people who's close to me You say it's all over the world.
Yeah.
Well, where's my community at in Omaha? And I'm like, it's not really gonna be anybody in Omaha, you know, thinking like, no one. And when it said like, no, we have an Omaha community. Omaha what? Because you know there's so many Omaha, Omaha, Washington, Omaha, Detroit. What about Nebraska? Yeah, they're there. Like it was nothing. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to see.
Yeah.
So I signed up for it, and when I came, there was nobody here. So I'm like, this building is closed. This is not real.
Well, now you know. We're all real, all
Yeah.
doing real
Next
deals at
meeting,
different
we'll all
different
hype
spaces.
you
Don't run from me. I need this.
Yeah, but it's great. It's a great community, great knowledge, great information, and there's just so much to learn, right? I'll go through a couple more. Is this helpful to go through a couple of these deals? Okay. Virginia's similar. Poto, Virginia, very similar because also military, but Coast Guard. The family got reassigned and needed to sell. This one we did a little bit different. The margins on this one were small, right? So we instead of taking it over and then getting someone, we said, hey, we're going to take this over. We almost treated it kind of like a wholesale deal, but we didn't sell it to someone else. We said, hey, we're going to help you do this, but we contract or agreed up front that we're going to help you sell this, and here's how we're going to do it. But we found a buyer before we actually closed on the purchase of the home. And then we just did a double close. We closed and then sold it to a new buyer. Yeah. Oh, the numbers are incorrect on here. Oh. Yep, never mind. That was just paid. So phenomenally interesting. The numbers on this one are exactly the same as the Kentucky one. We only do numbers if they list up right here. What are the numbers on this one, Cheyenne?
228 mortgage, 3% interest rate. We took it sub-2. The seller got $5,000 at closing just to pay off an AC lien. They were military. They had to transfer somewhere else, and they couldn't sell their house. They got renters, and renters were not good. Repairs are about $30,000 to $60,000. We didn't do anything to the house. We sold it for $269 with down payment at 9% interest rate. We get $1,000 a month on that, and we'll get about $40,000 when they refinance.
Yep. This one gives us a little bit of a headache. They didn't come with with a real big down payment, and they're investors, and so they're sometimes late on their payments. And Cheyenne goes back and forth with them often on. All right, how do we make this work? And really, what we've learned from this deal is that it's best, instead of being across the table from someone, how do we get alongside them? How do we get around on the same side of the table, and we're part of their team, they're part of our team, and we work together to try to find solutions that help them be successful and also help us be successful. And so we're still working on that, but have made some good progress with them. And then also Missouri, like I said, same numbers as the Kentucky one. We only run those numbers. This one is actually one of my favorites. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, quick question. This is to you and whoever else is aware of this, and this is not a trick question. Is it legal to sell? Let's just say you want to buy a property and you've not closed on that property yet. Is it legal to go ahead and sell that property already?
Depends on what state you're in. Yep. In Nebraska, I believe you have to, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to be a realtor to do that. Is that correct?
Gray area. There's going to be some more rules in the next month or two about what that looks like. My understanding is if you're selling a property that you don't own already, which would be you've closed on it and your name is on the deed, then you can go sell that property however you want to.
Yeah.
But if you don't own it and it's residential and you're selling it, the main glaring issue is that you're marketing the property, so you can't market the property on your own. You need a realtor to market that property. The act of actually an assignment, which is where you take the contract that you already have saying I'm going to buy this property, you assign it to your next buyer that's going to actually buy the property. I don't think technically that part of it is illegal, but you might still get sued, I don't know. But most people don't know that it's not a public thing that you're doing, marketing the property in public. So I think that's why they say that is the part that they don't want non-realtors doing.
So just
To go back to work, everyone.
yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming.
Everybody.
Thanks for
I will
coming.
be at the next one.
See you next time.
Text me. You're beautiful.
So scratch that. We don't have a property in Poto or in Virginia, wherever that one was. Just kidding. We do have one. What was that, Josh? Yeah. And so, yeah, good question. And like I said, we're still learning. But I would say the way that we do our marketing is we'll put up bandit signs. We'll hire someone to put up some signs that just say, hey, owner finance opportunity available. Here's the number. And they give us a call. We give them the address. There's an automated voicemail. They get the address. They go take a look at it. And if they like it, there's a new number there. They give us a call. We say, hey, have you seen the house? What do you think of it? And then we start the conversation there.
What does owner financing mean?
That means that we sell it to them. We become the bank. So instead of them going to get a mortgage, we essentially own the note, and they pay us as the bank.
So that's like the thing, or what he was talking about when he said like you can't get it like a traditional loan. You don't have the credit or whatever.
Yep.
Is that the same as rent to own?
No, a little bit different. The way we've done it, it's they essentially buy it, they own it, and we just own the note. It's as if they went through a bank, except we're the bank. Rent to own is someone is moved in and they start to make payments that could then go to that mortgage, and they can choose to buy it down the road.
You could also call what they're doing a wrap. So
Yeah.
you're basically taking an original mortgage that's 5% interest with $200,000 loan balance, and then I'm going to take that. I'm now responsible for paying that, but I know somebody's going to pay 8%, so I can add 3% on there. So now I'm going to get the difference of the 5 to the 8% in interest each month. So I'm going to get that as my income, and then I'm going to add on purchase price on top of that $200,000. So now I'm going to sell it for $250,000, and I'm going to add some more principal balance onto that I can also get the full 8% on, because that's a whole new note that I'm selling to somebody else. So this is, we are taking new terms and we are wrapping it together like a turkey wrap. You got your meat and then you have your lettuce and then your tortilla around that.
So would you still be finished with it in 30 years since you added all that wrapping to it?
Probably not.
It depends on how you set it up, right?
You can make the wrap however you want. So if you want it for 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, as long as that other note that you have is under that type of thing.
Yeah, you don't want to have it. You don't want to have the note paid off, and then you still have to pay on the mortgage. That doesn't work. But, I know we're starting to get close to time, but the Missouri one is one of my favorites, and I didn't actually touch this one. Cheyenne did, but it went very quickly. Do you mind just talking real quickly about that Missouri deal?
So one of the things that we love most about creative finance is that deals that look like, sometimes investors will say it needs to be at least 70% or 65% of value to purchase. This one was like 95%, which a lot of investors say, there's no equity in this. But we just love solving problems, and that's what creative finance can do, which is amazing. So there's a $189,000 mortgage, and so I'm so sorry I didn't update, but I've got the numbers right here. It was a 6% interest rate, which is not the best. We gave them $1,000 at closing as a deposit for their new apartment, so they could move. They were $18,000 in arrears because they were in foreclosure. We said, we can do this. We've got to catch up your mortgage, and we're going to keep your mortgage in place, and then we're going to get a new buyer, so everyone knows what's happening. We have them sign off on everything. We don't want anything shady. We want everyone to know what's happening. This is how we can help you. We can find someone fast, but we're going to keep the mortgage in place until we get a new buyer. This new buyer may keep it in place for a few years until they refinance us out, and then at that time your mortgage will be paid. We'll pay it every month. We've got someone, so I went down there. It was just outside of Branson. Drove down there, and in one weekend, it was the border house. I was just telling Danielle about the just nasty things that were there. So we had someone come out cleaning it out. We had I paid someone to put out some signs all around town for me. There were 70 people that came through that weekend, and they just that area that we were in, there was just needing single family homes were hot. So while they were coming through, the carpet was like full of animal excrement and all kinds of stuff, and so I was having someone cut out the carpet and junk the house. All while people are walking through. We had several people interested. Within 3 days, someone gave $20,000 down payment and said, I'm handy, I can take care of all the rest. So we didn't do anything to it besides clean it out. So I came back drove back down a couple days later, got their cash, so I'm gonna pay cash. And that paid for the arrears, and then that also paid for the junking out, so we didn't have any money into it besides me running down there. And so we wrapped that. So again, the original mortgage is $189. We sold it for $199 with a $20K down payment, 8% interest rate. And we get $800 a month profit, but I take $300 of that and I pay down the principal. So we can, spread the equity as fast as we can, so we can just get more equity. So within the next year and a half will be pretty good. So and they're super excited. They're pay on time. We have a third party system that we use to collect payments and manage the payments. And so they have an auto pay set up, and so they're fantastic. So it's just been great.
Did you find that buyer too when you were in contract with the seller, or did you close and then find the buyer?
We did double close, and so
Okay.
we found them while we were still in the
Cool.
Still want to close and make sure.
Yeah.
And that's actually a big motivation for us is we get to help people on both sides of it, right? So people who are in a tough situation, need to have a property, we're able to help them kind of step into a new part of our life. That's you'll see our name here. It's Fresh Start Fast. That's our business logo or business name. But then people who are wanting to get into a situation that might not be able to get traditional financing, we're able to help them as well. And so it's yeah, we're doing real estate, but we look at as we're in the business of helping people out on both sides of that coin. All right. Any other questions on those pieces?
What about your
yeah.
people in your community who needs a home?
People in our community. So we are building a list of people that we run into. They're looking for homes, and our plan and hope is that we can find homes and then have a list of people that are trying to sell their homes and a list of people who are trying to buy their homes or buy homes. So everything we've done so far has been out of state. We actually have kind of done a reset because a lot of people we talked to said they built up their business in their local market. And so we've switched to, okay, how do we now switch to the Omaha market? And since we live here, how do we start to build here? And PPC is very expensive. And so we actually turned off our PPC and we're starting to do other marketing. One of the ways in which we're doing marketing is called zombie leads. And so it's those homes we showed you. It's the ones that are run down and that might be hard for realtors to sell or that people don't want. And they're like, we don't know what to do with this. And so we actually set this up so people can actually give referrals. And then we pay out on those referrals. Depending on how that goes and where we're able to close on it. And yeah.
So this Zombie Leads is your business?
Mm-hmm.
Not the fast, what's the other one called?
It's both.
Oh, okay.
Both of them, yep.
Cool.
This is just something we are recently launched. We started to get people to give referrals through it. And so it's essentially, especially if you're starting off, it's a good way to start to earn some capital just by finding some zombie leads and getting us connected so we can go and work the deal.
Sweet.
Any questions? Really appreciate all your questions. Appreciate your participation. Glad that so many people showed up and excited to meet all of you and see if we can do business together.
And then if you scan that, is that your contact?
So the contact's down here, but actually if you scan that takes you directly to that zombie leads piece. So you can find it, save it, fill out the form, and when you find a property, and we'll work the deal and pay you.
Sweet. Thanks, Zach.
Yep.